People thought that my quads were completely fake. Yeah, they called me the quad father.
I watched A Family Affair over the weekend, and I actually think Netflix original films have hit a new low lately, and I really want to talk about it. So today, I want to talk about A Family Affair. I want to talk about what it represents in terms of Netflix original films, and just the state of like these weird straight to DVD movies that are being packaged into Netflix and Prime originals, because it's a trend that's really starting to bother me. You're taking these actors with great careers, great track records, and putting them in films that are going to show up as a wet fart on their like overall acting filmography. It's really, really strange. And I just want to say from the jump, I'm not a hater. I'm not some like film bro that watches things made for like a female audience and just wants to shit on it. I really enjoyed The Idea of You starring Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galitzine. I thought that was excellent for what it was. I thought it was lighthearted fun. It knew what it was going for. And pretty much everyone I know that actually tried to watch Idea of You ended up enjoying it for what it was. It was fun. It was well done. Anne Hathaway brought a lot of humanity and like charisma to that role. And Nicholas Galitzine was great as well. There was a lot of effort in the filmmaking. The songs were well done. It was just a well executed movie. Yes, it's not Shakespeare. It's not going to win any Oscars, but it was pretty good. But A Family Affair is what I worried Idea of You would be. A Family Affair is garbage. It's garbage. It's so shockingly bad. Throughout the first 30-40 minutes of the movie, it was actually working really well as a like Hollywood satire comedy, all right? Zac Efron was this out-of-touch actor. I thought all the fights he was having with Joey King were really humorous.
Do you know how much it costs to rent a private plane? It's a lot. I'm lucky I can even keep the lights on.
But as the movie goes on, it loses sight of who these characters are. And here's the worst part about this movie. Going into it, I'd read all the Letterboxd reviews, I'd heard how bad it was, and when I switched it on to watch something light, I was actually surprised how much I was laughing. There were a few jokes with Zac Efron that genuinely got me laughing. Hey.
She called me fat the way she said it. You should have heard it. She went, "Oh, lunchtime, are you hungry?"
Zac Efron is playing this out-of-touch Hollywood actor that doesn't really get how normal society works. He's dumping girls left and right. Joey King is playing his assistant that really wants a better working relationship with him. Might I just add though, I was on Zac Efron's side through most of these conflicts. They really want to frame him as this unreasonable boss, but I'm sorry. If Joey King is getting paid a massive fuck-off salary to be this guy's assistant and he asks you to be somewhere at 8:30 a.m. with a certain type of coffee, I don't think that's that hard of a job. I actually think that's a really easy gig.
I told you to be here at 8:30. I called you. You didn't pick up.
I had that meeting with that great writer for the rewrites and I ran late.
What writer? I said be here at 8:30.
The amount her character complains and just can't be on time and acts like Zac Efron is unreasonable for asking her to do her job, which is being an assistant, is crazy to me. On top of that, she's having a genuine existential personal crisis to her mother, played by Nicole Kidman, where she's basically saying, "Mom, I thought I was going to be a CEO of his company by now, but unfortunately, I'm just not there." It's like, babe, you're 24. Also, what on earth is Zac Efron's like company in this movie? Is it his production company? But yeah, for the first chunk of the movie, right, it was really funny. Zac Efron had great comedic timing, and then you get to like the meet cute, you get to the actual romance part of the movie, and I'm sorry, these two have zero chemistry. They are both wonderful actors. Zac Efron, again, has had a really great run recently. Nicole Kidman is one of the greatest actresses of our time. I don't know what on earth was going on here because I felt genuinely like nothing.
People thought that my quads were completely fake. Yeah, they called me the quad father.
I genuinely felt no romantic tension. They kind of just like hook up out of nowhere. He literally like home invades her house and then he's like, "Oh, sorry." And she's like, let's fuck. Like it's instant. But then when they started clapping cheeks, I realized that maybe this isn't what the movie is going for. Maybe it's not trying to be a romance film the same way Idea of You was, because it's from the perspective of Joey King. And when Joey King walks in on them knocking boots and she starts having a very visceral reaction to it, I went, okay, I need to readjust my expectations. Because what's actually going on is this is meant to be a comedy about, oh my God, my mom is screwing my boss. What the hell? And it's not meant to be a romance that we are invested in. Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman are the side characters and Joey King is the lead. And as I was readjusting my expectations, I went, okay, just watch it as a funny comedy. And as I continued to watch it as a funny comedy, it was still working. There were these great scenes where Zac Efron was on a movie set and it was a parody of how films are made in front of green screen. There was a good joke about gun violence. It was really working for me. And then all of a sudden you realize why all the reviews are so bad for this movie, because the last hour feels like it goes for about 4 years, and it starts focusing on the romance between Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron. It abandons the idea that it is meant to be Joey King's story and her discomfort in that, and it really focuses on these two characters. And I'm sorry, the character work in this movie is genuinely perplexing. For the first 20-30 minutes, Zac Efron is this out-of-touch, bumbling buffoon. He is bordering on just like a satire character.
Because I can't play a blind alcoholic. It goes against my iconography.
But then when he's with Nicole Kidman, he's a completely normal, emotionally in tune, well-adjusted dude. Like, you don't even see any hints or shades of who he was.
What would you have done if I didn't show up?
Eating with the waiters. Is this what you wear to have dinner and talk?
Is it too much?
You look, wow.
And maybe a better movie would explore that dichotomy, the idea that he's putting on an act to impress Nicole Kidman, but the movie never really explores that. It's kind of like a weird twist. Joey King reveals how cruel Zac Efron was to her as her boss, but again, in my opinion, I don't think it was really that bad. But Zac Efron's character in this movie goes from feeling like he has like a -5 IQ and he can't do anything to himself to all of a sudden being incredibly emotionally intelligent, knowing exactly what he has to say, and being like a normal dude. And it loses that funny satirical edge that it had at the start of the movie. On top of that, the character work for Nicole Kidman is like laughably thin, like really disappointing. She is given absolutely nothing to do. Again, one of our greatest actresses has nothing going on. You don't get a tragic backstory the way you do with Anne Hathaway in Idea of You. And when they try to go there with the fact that she had a husband that passed away, it doesn't really land. It feels like an afterthought. And there's a really fascinating idea that they bring up in the back end. The idea that even though Nicole Kidman's husband actually passed away from cancer, they were talking about separating. They were talking about divorce. Their marriage actually wasn't that good. That's such an interesting idea, but nothing comes of it. I really wanted that to come out when she was having conflict with Joey King about dating Zac Efron. And while we are talking about this conflict, I don't think it really works as well as it did in the Idea of You. The age gap isn't that spicy. It isn't that juicy. It isn't that controversial. Joey King is out of school, so she really doesn't cop much flack for this relationship. It really isn't an imminent threat. It's really quite strange. They make like one reference or joke about the age gap thing and then they drop it. So as a result, I never really understood why Joey King had such an issue with it. I know she kind of just doesn't like Zac Efron as a person, but I find that really kind of cruel and cold in the fact that she wants to run his company and like take as much money from him as possible, but she will also simultaneously villainize him. And I don't even think he was that bad for dumping women. Yeah, he didn't have a backbone, but at the end of the day, like, you have relationships and they end. And I believed from the start that he was earnest about Nicole Kidman. I thought the conflict that came out of it just never worked. But yeah, the big issue in this movie is the last hour really tries to get us to invest in this romance, and it just starts to have all the big issues with these Netflix movies. These big actors show up. Kathy Bates shows up to give us absolutely nothing. And this movie leans into a couple of tropes I absolutely can't stand about these straight to DVD to Netflix movies. The first one is the main character, the main white girl, will always have a minority friend who points out the issues of modern day cinema and social injustices that are tied to modern day cinema. In this one, it's the screenwriter friend that basically just complains that all movies are focused on like a white hero and don't really have progressive ideas. And it's like, but this movie doesn't have progressive ideas. It feels like lampshading, and movies keep doing it. They get one character to basically spout about all the issues with modern day cinema, to like pat themselves on the back and be like, see, but we're different. And it's like, that's literally just surface level. Like, you didn't add anything to this movie.
Have to keep this shootout at the Victoria's Secret? It's kind of sexist. Like, what year is it?
What are you going to replace it with, though?
I don't know, a phone call where he unpacks intimacy issues?
On top of that, it leads into another trope that I absolutely can't stand, which is like random main character, typically a young girl, will have a career ambition that she actually just hasn't worked for, and she'll just girl boss her way there. In this one, Joey King is literally an assistant, and she just goes, I want to be a CEO of Zac Efron's company. I want to be a film producer.
I become associate producer and then producer and eventually work up to running your company.
You have no experience producing.
And within like a year, by the end of the movie, she is a producer. She didn't really study for it. She just kind of wanted it and she got it. And we don't don't see that journey, because that's how these movies need to wrap up. Everyone can't just be in a similar spot but happier. They need to all accomplish their dreams, no matter how unbelievable and unreasonable they are. This is a trope that keeps popping up. It is all over Emily in Paris, where basically she gives the worst marketing ideas I've ever heard, and all of France is like, oh my god, I can't believe we didn't think of that. That was absolutely incredible, Emily. Let's promote you. Like, it just keeps popping up everywhere I go, particularly in these Netflix movies, and it's just so unearned and genuinely feels like it's insulting the intelligence of the audience members. But yeah, this central romance just gave me nothing, and it is so hard to watch these great actors of our time basically just phone it in. Like, you know, I genuinely wonder, were Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman getting home after the days on set of A Family Affair and telling their family and being like, oh yeah, I love this movie. I think it's going to be a great little comedy. We're all going to love it. Like, no, I don't even think they watched the final cut of the movie. These movies are just so transparently made to be disposable and to not really demand any engagement or any actual critical thinking or like deep thought. And that's fine. I love easy to watch movies. But if I'm going to give my time up, if I'm going to give up 2 hours, give me something to the quality of like Idea of You or Hitman. I don't need every Netflix original to be as good as The Irishman or Marriage Story, but I at least want a movie that feels like a movie.
My favorite thing about the movie is like it feels like a movie
rather than a product and like an algorithm designed movie. Like, this movie literally feels at one point like, okay, we need a fight between Joey King and Nicole Kidman, no matter how clunky and silly it is. The final fight between Joey King and Nicole Kidman here, it's genuinely like a total nothing burger of a fight. Like, the fight doesn't even make sense. She basically calls out her mum and goes like, fuck you, stop dating my boss, or I'm gonna move out. And it's like, babe, you're 24 and talking about becoming a CEO. Like, you should have moved out 6 years ago. Like, what a non-threat to Nicole Kidman. I love, like, Nicole Kidman should have just been like, yeah, move out, you little shit, and then I can get absolutely railed by Zac Efron every single morning without your yapping. I was like, this is such a non-conflict. Joey King's been a brat. She's been a brat to Zac Efron. She's been a brat to Nicole Kidman. Send her on her way. On top of that, there is a character, a friend of Joey King, that is played by an influencer, and just all her jokes just don't land. There's one in particular where she looks at like a bunch of clothes that like Nicole Kidman has access to, and she goes, oh, that won't fit my cardboard box of a body.
Chanel? Okay, so you expect your model of a mother's clothing to fit my body? I am built like a cereal box, bitch. Let's put it on.
And she has basically the same body type as Nicole Kidman. She looks pretty much as good. Like, everyone's walking around looking like supermodels and then complaining that society doesn't find me attractive. I'm like, am I missing something? It's just all over the place. The writing is strange. All the jokes don't make sense given who these characters are, and I just found it such a frustrating experience. Like, you're watching Kathy Bates, right? The main actress from Misery, just sit there and just phone in a performance and just be like, yeah, well, I mean, the heart wants what the heart wants, I guess. It's like, who wrote this shit? Like, what is going on? And then the ending line of this movie, right? So Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman, eventually Joey King gets on board and goes, you know what? You guys should date. And then they have this callback to, like, Zac Efron said earlier in the movie that he hadn't been to a grocery store for a while, and he wondered if the vegetables still had the, like, mist showers that go over them. And then they start making out in the supermarket, and Joey King activates the mist showers. Like, we were meant to be like, oh. And then she's walking out, right? And the paparazzi like, oh my God, is Zac Efron, is he in there? Is Zac Efron's character in there? Like, we need to get a photo of him. And she's like, no, it's just my mom and her boyfriend. And then, like, walks off, and, like, girl bosses too close to the sun.
Is it Chris Cole? Is that true?
I don't know what you're talking about. The only people in there are my mom and her boyfriend.
On top of that, I have tried to be really... I've talked about Zac Efron a few times on this channel. I did actually hear that he had a facial injury, so I've tried not to be mean about the difference in his appearance. However, I am starting to suspect that this 12-year-old injury may be an excuse. And the reason I say this is I've adjusted to his new face. I got used to his new face in the Iron Claw, and I went, yep, that must be the product of the injury and the reconstructive surgery he had to get. However, in A Family Affair, he looks different, like, scene to scene, right? Like, he looks a certain way for most of the movie, and then we get a fast forward, like a flash forward, and I guess it must have been a reshoot or something, because he walks in and he genuinely looked like a completely different person for a second. Now, I guess I can't hold this against the movie, but between this and Nicole Kidman's weird, uncanny performance, I just found it like really distracting. On top of that, I do want to talk about Nicole Kidman's character, because it was actually paper thin. They pretty much gave her nothing except that she was an accomplished author and her husband died. I really don't get a sense of what she particularly likes about Zac Efron. I feel like a better movie would have explored the idea that like Zac Efron's bad boy, immature kind of like persona is like refreshing to her, and she finds it exciting because she's found her life to be stagnant and cold and repetitive. A bit of like the bad boy angle, like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this, but I can't keep my hands off you. But honestly, Zac Efron, when he's around Nicole Kidman, comes off so mature and like a different person compared to who we were introduced to at the start of the movie, that when they're hanging out, there's literally like no conflict. You're like, yeah, they're just a well-suited pair. They both talk the same, they both act the same, they both kind of see the world similar, and when they don't, they want to learn from each other. Like, there was just never any conflict, there was never any stakes. And look, I'm part of the problem. I was watching Marriage Story and I turned it off to watch A Family Affair, and like, I mean, that's on me, but I struggle because even though these movies are fun to hate watch, this one wasn't. This one wasn't. The last hour was an absolute slog. I wouldn't be surprised if most people turned off halfway through, but Netflix is just going to see that a bunch of people have clicked it, whether or not their intention is to hate watch it or is to actually enjoy it. And they're going to keep producing crap like this. And I just think it's a really sad state of affairs when the best actors of our times are getting thrown these insane paychecks and will just do a bunch of poop movies that show up on their filmography and stain their career. If I was in these actors' positions and the bag was that good, the money on the table was that good, I would genuinely ask if I could be listed as like a different name. Just so that way, when people go to my IMDb, it's all bangers rather than like A Family Affair and The Iron Claw in the same year, or Big Little Lies and A Family Affair for Nicole Kidman. I just find it so strange, and it's just so sad to watch your heroes. You know, I'm waiting for the day where Robert De Niro goes from The Godfather and The Irishman to getting offered $100 million from Netflix to play a guy who's walking around with a constant erection for like a 22-year-old girl, and it's a commentary on how people are too mean about age gap relationships. I'm just tired of Netflix producing like straight to DVD garbage. I don't really know what the solution here is, because I do love cringe movies. I do love hate watch movies, but I at least want to feel like they have tried to make a good movie, like genuinely. An idea review, I think, should be the bare minimum for what an original, like a Netflix original or a Prime original should look like, because I don't know what the fuck happened with The Family Affair. I was enjoying it for like 30 minutes. I was laughing. It was getting some good laughs out of me. And then it just fell apart, and it just reminded me of all the crap that Netflix has been putting out lately. And not to come off like a pick-me, but I feel like romance fans, like people that are reading romance books, you know, young girls, middle-aged women, I just feel like they deserve better films than this garbage. Like, genuinely, I feel like the writers and producers are just seeing what they can get away with, seeing the bare minimum they can get away with and still make a profit on and still get clicks. And I find it really disappointing and really frustrating. And the issue is, when I hear that Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman are going to be in a romance movie, I genuinely think that idea has promise. But yet again, Netflix has delivered another nothing burger straight to streaming that people will forget in about 27 days, if that. No one's going to be watching A Family Affair 3 years from now. No one's going to be like, oh, I just want to watch something over Christmas break with the family. Oh, how about A Family Affair? I love that one. That's a classic. Like, no rewatchability is found in this movie, in my opinion. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you agree or disagree about how Netflix is like handling their original movies, as well as the impact this is having on like these actors' legacies. Because in my opinion, it's making me lose respect for a lot of these actors. Like, when I see J-Lo go from Hustlers, right, a great performance, to Atlas, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? You know? And it's so disappointing to see Zac Efron have a great little renaissance in his career and then do A Family Affair. And again, if it was as good as Idea Review, I would let it slide, but it's not. And it's not even close, in my opinion. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. Please let me know what you'd like me to talk about next, and have a lovely day. Thank you.